Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. This time it's not a tutorial, it's an unboxing and an experimenting with a new watercolor box. I bought this specific set because I really like moody colors, and it's the Oxide Black mixing palette. Mixing the colors with the Oxide Black should give a really nice granulating effect, which I love. So I'm going to test everything. I like this kind of Rembrandt boxes of this size because it's small enough to take with you if you go anywhere. You can put it in your bag and it's easy to carry. You can fill them with all the kinds of colors you like, and inside there's a large palette, even two, for mixing your colors. At this point the palette is super clean, but I am really sure it will end up like my other palette, filled with all my favorite colors from different brands and really dirty. I think this won't last long. Definitely when I start to try and test the colors, this won't stay clean for a long time. Let me speed through the unpacking because it took a while. There's a lot of small papers. The first thing I'm going to do is try all the colors without mixing, just to see what shades they are. You will notice my paper is a little bit dirty, but I don't like to throw out old, quite expensive paper, so I keep it and I just use it for my swatches. This is actually the aquarel paper, 300 grams, and the hot pressed kind, so it's very smooth and the water and the colors can run very easily over the paper. First I'm going to wet the colors a bit just to loosen the pigments. It will be easier to take some pigment afterwards. It's already dirty. Well, as you can tell, I can't keep my palettes clean, so you will notice that this clean palette won't stay like that for a long time. I'm convinced that we buy tools to use them and not only just to keep them clean. So it's a mixing palette, so it's supposed to be getting messy. Let me try. These are the colors if you just use them purely, and this is the Oxide Black, which you can mix it with and which will give the granulation effect. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is already granulating in its own. It has like some rough qualities to it, and that's actually what I really like. Almost none of these colors are colors that I personally use as they are. I prefer much more all the different shades that I can mix. Here I tried the pure colors just with the Oxide Black. As you can see, gives a nice edge to the colors and a little black grain inside. It darkens the colors, but it also makes them deeper and richer, in my opinion. If you compare, for example, these kind of magenta colors, I much more prefer something like this instead of the pure bright colors. But that's my taste. I always prefer like dark shades and a little more moody colors. Some people will say that the weird organic shapes that appear from putting a lot of water in and also testing a little bit with granulation medium are technically not good. I mean, most of the people who try traditional watercolor are really trying to avoid these kind of shapes. For me personally, I adore them. The more texture it gives to my paint and the more it splits into several colors, the more I love it. I really adore the different shapes and the irregularity of the way the paint has traveled through the water. So I actually really like this unpredictability of the paint. I'm going to put them on different kind of papers so you can see the effect, what it does on cheaper paper and more expensive paper, and one with a thick grain. That might be interesting to see the difference. For the exercise with the different kinds of papers, I have chosen 3 kinds. The first one is an arch aquarel paper, very fine and soft texture, almost smooth completely, 300 grams. The second one is almost the opposite, also 300 grams, but an aquarel paper that is very thick and also a rough grain. Maybe you can see it on the paper, but you will definitely see the difference when I put some colors on top. And the last one is a tip I got from a friend of mine. I will put her reference down in the description because she's a very talented artist. Tiana, thank you for this tip, because this is a really kind of, not really cheap, but an affordable kind of paper that works really well for aquarel. So this is the Canson, the Saint Blanc, a very soft grain, but it's almost smooth. This is only 250 grams, but it responds very well to aquarel, even if it's not really an aquarel paper. The first one was the Arch aquarel paper, very smooth, very thick, 300 grams, also a little expensive. To me, it's worth the money if you really use a lot of water. The colors can travel through the water very easily, and it's really nice. The second one with the grain is the Bockingford St. Cuthbert's Mill, also 300 grams, but with a more thick grain that keeps the paint in place. And the last one, I bought it in a bigger size because they didn't have it anymore in a smaller one. But the Canson, 250 grams, this is just drawing paper, not aquarel paper, but it works really well for aquarel. It says soft grain, but it's really, really smooth. And I always like natural white look, not a really bright chemical white. It is time to try everything on the 3 different kinds of papers. So I'm just going to choose some colors that I made that I really liked. Some may be your taste, others may not. I really suggest, this is not a video for a technical color mixing class. This is just experimenting and having fun and discovering what works for you and what you like. It's not a video to give you the formulas for certain colors. Of course, I can show you how I make them. Maybe I'll make a new video with really the color mixing techniques. This is just a discovery video for the new colors. Now I'm going to take some of my favorite colors of the ones I mixed, and I'm going to put them on different kind of papers so you can see the effect. I'm very happy with the purchase. I love mixing them. The only problem is I still have to remember how I made them, and sometimes I might forget. So sometimes I really note down all the colors because it's necessary. And sometimes I think I really need this kind of dark wine red. How did I make it? I don't remember. So sometimes I need a little cheat sheet. Let's take a look at the results. They're not completely dry yet, but I'm very impatient, so I'm not going to be able to wait. It's clear that the canson paper has the most texture, not in the paper, but for the aquarel. It's easy for the paint to move around, and you can see that also the granulating medium has a really nice effect. I'm going to show it a little closer. For example, these two to me are really, really beautiful. Also this, it gives really like an organic kind of feel to the swatches. If you compare it to the Bockingford, the colors are really deep, actually really, really rich, but it's more difficult to get textures as we have on these smooth surfaces. So I'm not telling you that this is the best kind, it's just a personal preference. There's a lot of people who work with aquarel who prefer a grainy texture because it really keeps the shades even, and it makes the color even deeper. So, and the last one is the Arche aquarel satiné paper. To me, that's a really nice one. A little bit of the effect of the canson paper. This is much cheaper, so it's nice to see that a lot of the effects are similar. So I can definitely recommend starting with the canson paper if you don't want to pay too much for the Arche. Definitely in the beginning, when you start out with aquarel, it's not worth. It's worth to experiment, but it's not worth to make all your work on this kind of paper. This will work just fine. However, it does have nice shades and textures as well. It has a different kind of absorption, and there is a lot happening inside one swatch. There's different parts drying in different speeds. For example, the outside here is already dry, but the middle is still wet, so it means that the first time you go over it, the edges are already sinking into the paper, so you have to work quite quick. My overall impression of this palette is that I'm really happy about the really rich colors that you can make. To me personally, I really like the option of mixing with the Oxide black to get all the different kind of shades, and I'm definitely going to use this a lot. I already know that now. I really hope you liked the video, that you found it interesting to see what you can do with it, how many possibilities that this palette gives you. It may seem a bit basic in the beginning, but actually the options are limitless. You can make any kind of color, and especially the deep shades of toned down colors, and I love it. I hope this was interesting to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm definitely not a specialist when it comes down to the technique of aquarel, the classical techniques. I just like to use it in my own way and not feel the pressure of how it's supposed to be done. To me, it's all about play and experimentation. That's my main goal, and this palette served me really well for this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.